The city of Pittsburgh prepares to launch its own public trash service after residents report issues with other companies. I'm Samantha Walker, and I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, the Creative Learning Alliance in Joplin announces the name of its new science center and how the Compass Academy Network is filling a summer learning gap in southeast Kansas.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. The city of Pittsburgh is continuing its efforts to create and operate a public trash service in the city. KOAM Samantha Walker has more on how city officials hope this will make Pittsburgh a little cleaner.
We just have to have the trash picked up.
For months, Pittsburgh residents have been raising concerns about local trash companies like Cards Recycling and Waste Management not regularly picking up trash. It's an issue city officials noticed.
The more trash is out there, the more it's become clear that it's not getting picked up in a manner that helps the community. So it was like, what can we do? One of the options was, well, we can actually purchase some trucks and hire some people and start picking it up because it needs to be picked up.
The city has approved the spending of more than $580,000, which will be used to purchase 2 trash trucks, 100 dumpsters, and 500 trash cans. Hall says the funding is coming from the general and utility funds, and there will be no new taxes.
This will be a fee-driven operation, so as many people as we get paying the fee, then we'll have that money to run the utility.
While Pittsburgh residents are required to have trash pickup, they do not have to use the city service. The new city service will be available for both residential and commercial customers. The city manager says they just want to offer another option to the community.
It'll be completely selective. We are coming in a little cheaper than most of them, so we're at $18. There'll be no more calling numbers and nobody picking it up. You can either call City Hall. You can always come into City Hall, so we're very accountable.
Although the projected start date for the city service is September 1st, the city manager says if residents are experiencing issues with their trash service now, they should go ahead and contact the city.
The town deserves to be cleaner than it is. It has a lot of good things in it. It has a lot of great people in it, a lot of fantastic businesses. And they deserve to drive around and not see trash blowing all over the place.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
You can learn more about the city's plans and how to sign up for service on our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll go to Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at our weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a hot and humid day for us today. Actual temperature got up to 93 degrees, but on top of that, we had heat indices right around 105, 106, so just brutally hot and humid. Started at 73, average high is 89 degrees, so we're not that above average. We just have all that humidity. The record high 102 set back in 2012. We've looked pretty good over the past couple hours. Thunderstorms to our north, and some of those guys may try to sneak in later on tonight. Any big storms stay mainly in our far northern counties, but after 2 or 3 o'clock, some scattered thunderstorms trying to work in, especially once you get over toward Nevada, Stockton Lake, and then hit and miss storms. Nothing too strong as we go into the morning hours. So don't be surprised if you hear a little thunder, see a little lightning late tonight into tomorrow morning. It gets even hotter over the weekend. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
Thanks, Doug. Summer slide is when students go on summer break and lose academic progress. Compass Academy Network is expanding their summer program to Neosho, Missouri this summer to combat this. Rural communities like Neosho can be overlooked by summer programs. Compass Academy's goal is to fill this void in Neosho and help students be more prepared for the school year in the fall.
So rural communities, they don't always have the resources that they need necessarily. Funding is something that is ongoing and changing every year, and they don't always have what the resources they need to provide extra enrichment for kids, especially in the summer when you have limited funds to be able to provide a summer school. This allows them to either extend into a summer program or have a summer program.
Classes for the summer program in Neosho will begin July 8th. The Creative Learning Alliance is building a science center, and it now has a name. It will be called the Schroeder Family Explorium. The name was chosen from 64 entries in the public contest. The capital campaign to fund the center's construction also entered the public phase today. They're looking to raise $6.5 million for the project.
the community in naming the building so that they could have ownership here. So we started a contest. We received 64 entries and finally narrowed it down to Explorium, which I think is a perfect name.
The Explorium will be added on to the Alliance's headquarters at 300 South Main. A couple who met in Philadelphia has moved back to Southeast Kansas to open a restaurant. KOAM intern Mitch Adams has more on how their love for each other has spread to the community as well as the kitchen.
When it comes to restaurants in rural areas, the community is oftentimes the reason whether they flourish or fail. Kelly Turlip and her husband Michael packed their bags and left Philadelphia to return back to Kelly's home, Girard, and start a restaurant of their own.
Community support, a lot of community support here. Everyone's willing to help their neighbor, which I find great. Also, just the breathtaking views here are pretty awesome. Like, I enjoy every day where we can drive into work and see the wheat fields and then the most gorgeous sunsets in the world.
Pictures on the wall tell the stories of travel, trial, and the love shared between the two business owners. While living in Philly, Kelly and Mike decided to bring their skills to a community where they felt like it could be more appreciated.
My mom's family's from Girard, and two of her sisters are still here. And I just like that it's a smaller community. We looked at Pittsburgh, but I think there's a lot going on there, which is great. And Pittsburgh's got, up and coming and got a lot of cool stuff. But Girard, it just like we were craving community after being in the city for so long. It was like we wanted to be somewhere where we could have a spot where everyone could it's been so cool already to see everyone come in and be like, oh, I know this person, and at each other's tables talking. We want to create a space for the community of Girard, and it's they were so supportive from the beginning. It was just a natural decision.
Kelly and Mike are a great example about how passion can take you a long way, especially in the food industry. And it also shows how new experiences don't always have to be in new places. Reporting from Girard, I'm Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
To find out when you can visit A Bushel and a Peck, you can find them on Facebook as well as their business hours there on Facebook as well. A nonprofit community of sign companies throws their work behind an area animal shelter. The Tri-State Sign Association's elite class installed signage at the SEK Humane Society. TSSA is similar to a young professionals group, but for sign individuals in the 4 states. Graduates from the organization's elite class produced and installed the signage at the Humane Society for free. For them, signage is a great way to give back to the community.
Try to get together, talk about topics that are happening in our industry, and at the end of the year, we try to give back to the community in one of the states because we are in between Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. So we try to go out and give back somehow.
Tri-State Sign Association is based in Yukon, Oklahoma. Nearly 100 students turned out to volunteer for Martin Luther School and Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Joplin today. The kids helped out with moving furniture, cleaning rooms, painting walls, hanging bulletin boards, and a lot more.
Sometimes you need help with upkeep and building things, and it's hard for a staff of 15 people to pull everything together that's needed for a school year, and you don't get help if you don't ask. So we asked and people responded.
Volunteers can also chip in tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Lunch will be provided. Coming up, what pharmacies are doing to get ahead of medication shortages. Malignant melanoma is one of the most aggressive types of skin cancer, but tumors can become drug resistant during treatment. Researchers at the University of Zurich have discovered secretions from tumors can cause the problem. Understanding the mechanism could eventually lead to better treatments, but prevention remains the best course of action by limiting exposure to the sun and using sunscreen. Various medication shortages across the country may prompt concern among patients, but some pharmacies already have a plan to help their customers. Fox News' Kevin Uretsky has more.
Ongoing shortages for some medications used to treat various chronic needs are prompting some pharmacies to find proactive measures to assist their customers. The Food and Drug Administration's report on drug shortages shows more than 100 different medications are currently listed as in shortage.
So the most common medications that we're seeing shortages with here are our stimulant medications. So you may be familiar with brand names such as Adderall and Vyvanse. We're also seeing some of our opioid pain medications that are difficult to get in stock.
Lindsay Miller, a clinical assistant professor at the University of Mississippi, says her pharmacy and others across the country are working together to mitigate shortage concerns.
We're really proactive here at this pharmacy, as well as other pharmacies I know do the same thing, called a MedSync program, where we're automatically looking at that for you every month before you ever run out of it as a patient.
Some pharmacies may also recommend alternative brands.
So if what you take is a brand name that I can't get in stock, if there's a generic alternative I can work with your primary care physician or the prescriber for this medication and see if we can work out a different alternative that may work for you that we can get in stock.
While an alternative brand could still help some patients, others may experience some financial side effects.
Sometimes those medications that we can get in stock and can substitute, while they may still work for you, they may be more expensive. And so for some of our patients that are on a fixed income, they may not have planned for that increase in their drug costs.
Miller says it is also important to find a pharmacist you trust and to check in with them about any potential shortages on your regular medications. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Carthage High School hosts a basketball camp for the Young Tigers.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a hot Friday for us today. Temperatures, most of us, mid-90s, but our heat indices, they were sitting like around 105 throughout the afternoon. You can see us heating up over the past couple days, upper 80s yesterday, and then low to mid-90s across the region for us today. I'll tell you what, it gets worse, even hotter as we go into the weekend. Also, look at our dew points. We're sitting into the mid-70s, so that's kind of on the top of the scale. So if you look here, that puts us in that muggy to soupy range. That's what we're going to have tonight. That's what we're going to have as we go into the daytime hours on Saturday. But those humidity values will start to lower a little bit as we go into Sunday. Breezy southerly winds will stick around for us tonight. Then the winds will calm down a bit for us tomorrow. Heat advisory in effect till 8 p.m. Saturday evening. Excessive heat warning in this pinkish color in northeastern parts of Oklahoma as the heat indices, they're going to be even a little bit higher. We look pretty good. We are watching a few thunderstorms north of the region, so some of those guys may try to get in a little bit later on tonight. Let me take you through time as we go through the next several hours into the overnight hours. We're going to stop this at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, some severe across central Missouri. I think these are just going to be regular old thunderstorms. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly along and north of I-44, very hit and miss. This is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sticking around into the morning hours, so if you do hear a little bit of thunder, see a little bit of lightning late tonight, should not be a big deal. We clear out during the morning. We heat up rapidly. Most of us 96, 97 by the time we get into the afternoon. Notice a few spotty showers starting to pop up as we go into the evening hours and then blossom right along that I-44 corridor and that Kansas-Oklahoma state line by tomorrow evening. Some of these storms could be strong to low-grade severe, meaning quarter-size hail, maybe winds 60 to 65. So we'll watch this. Some heavy amounts of rain, which we need, scattered thunderstorms through the night, and then most of these are going to be out of here by the time we hit Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, still a few spotty showers, but temperatures are going to be much better, highs into the mid-80s. All right, 97 tomorrow. There's high heat indices, overnight storms, cooler, but still a random storm on Sunday. What about rainfall amounts? Depending on where those storms set up, I think a lot of us will pick up a quarter, maybe half an inch, upwards to an inch with those scattered thunderstorms that we see tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. But we got to watch this. Of course, if you are going to be outside, especially on Saturday, drink plenty of fluids and try to stay inside during the hottest part of the day. But look at this. Heat indices 110 to about 115 once you get out across southeastern Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. So extreme heat, even hotter than what we saw today, but at least the temperatures look better by the time we head into Sunday. All right, an alert day on your Saturday due to those heat indices around 110. 97 actual high. 86 on Sunday, back to 94 on Monday. Near 100 Tuesday and Wednesday leading into the 4th of July. And on the 4th, we are going to have some chances for some scattered thunderstorms.
All right, Doug, thanks. The annual Celebrate Neosho event kicks off tomorrow, but the celebration started today with a summer sidewalk sale. Shoppers looking for great buys, great items, and a great way to support Neosho businesses can head to the historic Neosho Square and shop at 5 different boutiques.
So we're trying to make it a destination. We're trying to make the square a destination for more people to visit, not just from Neosho, but also from Northwest Arkansas, Webb City, Joplin. We want to bring them here and see what we've got going on.
The summer sidewalk sale and Celebrate Neosho run through tomorrow. Coming up, possible turbulence ahead.
Millions of travelers battle the crowds and the weather ahead of the July 4th holiday. I'm Katie Byrne in Hamilton, New Jersey. I'll have that story coming up.
In a break for consumers, prices didn't rise in May. This marks the first time since November Americans have been spared from the rise in costs and instead boosted their spending and their savings. An inflation gauge closely watched by the Federal Reserve went down to 2.6% in May, edging closer to the Fed's 2% target. In a letter to Congress, the National Taxpayer Advocate is criticizing the IRS for being too slow to resolve fraud cases. The agency's watchdog says rampant identity theft has overwhelmed the IRS, resulting in a backlog of 500,000 unresolved cases. The report describes how that's leaving victims waiting for refunds and credits they are owed, taxing nearly 2 years of resolved cases. Millions of Americans are traveling for the July 4th holiday, but they'll be battling the crowds and potentially weather this weekend. Fox Weather's Katie Byrne has more.
Millions of Americans are filling up and heading out on the road for one of the busiest travel days of the July 4th holiday. But some folks say there have already been some disruptions.
There was a big traffic accident. We woke up 2 hours early and wasted it sitting there, but the rest of the time it was beautiful.
At one point Friday afternoon, more than 2,000 flights were delayed nationwide, according to FlightAware. TSA says Friday could break the record for number of passengers screened at airports in a single day, with more than 3 million people expected to pass through checkpoints.
We left around 12 to get here 3 hours early, and we're just going to check in and sit because I know some people who actually missed their flights.
People are battling not only the crowds, but also the weather. Forecasters say thunderstorms, hail, and tornadoes could disrupt travel in parts of the Midwest and Northeast over the weekend.
That area is especially fragile anyway. You get any kind of active weather and it can result in some major delays because just the capacity of what's going on up there. There's a lot of airports in relatively a small geographic spots.
But for some of the 70 million travelers expected to hit the road, the stress is worth it.
I'm here for the 4th of July. I'm so looking forward to it.
And the threat isn't over yet, with more thunderstorms expected in the central U.S. next week. In Hamilton, New Jersey, Katie Byrne, Fox Weather.
Up next, we'll cruise on down to Joplin for an all-American cruise event. Folks in Joplin today revved their engines at Southwest Missouri Bank. They hosted an all-American cruise night. Hey, look, it's a Cybertruck. It's a chance for folks to enjoy some free food, music, and check out cool cars in the bank's parking lot.
So we have several cruise nights that we do throughout the year. We do one in Carthage, we do this one for the Joplin area, and we have one we do in Neosho. It's just a way for us to offer something different for the community, to get the community involved.
Attendees were also able to get some door prizes at the event. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. A new Supreme Court ruling could change how cities handle the issue of homelessness. Plus, another Supreme Court ruling could impact the federal prosecution of defendants in the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. The Oklahoma State Board of Education yesterday discussed several agenda items. The item that's drawing the most controversy and discussion is a decision from the state's top educator that every classroom and teacher will be required to have a Bible. Chloe Abbott has the latest on the reaction from parents on this decision.
Amy Tate says she plans to send her son Henry to a public school in Oklahoma because it's designed to be inclusive.
That's why there are private schools, because if you would like your children to learn about religion in the classroom, there are options for that, but a public school is supposed to be inclusive. It's part of free education.
Amy says forcing teachers to make the Bible a part of their curriculum could put them in a tough spot if a student asks a complex cultural question.
You would be caught in the middle of a parent-teacher-student triangle if you don't answer these questions correctly, the way the parent wants you to answer them.
She says she has no problem with her son learning about religious texts in relation to American history. One example being how it influenced the founding fathers, but she doesn't want the Christian Bible to be preached.
They should also know that slavery was part of our founding fathers' background as well, but it doesn't mean that we should continue teaching that as if it were something like a good thing.
Bob Rafferty is a grandfather of 2, and he agrees the Bible is a part of U.S. history, but worries this is a step backwards for public education.
He decided back in 1980 with political correctness that we weren't going to have the church and state in our schools. Because if in fact we do that, then we're going to have many lawsuits with other religions trying to get into our schools.
Oklahoma law already explicitly allows Bibles in the classroom and lets teachers use them in instruction. What's not clear is if the state's superintendent, Ryan Walters, has the authority to mandate the decision. Authorities charge 4 Missouri prison guards with murder and 5th with a manslaughter in the death of a black man in custody. The death took place in December at the Jefferson City Correctional Center. A criminal complaint filed today says the guards pepper sprayed 38-year-old Othel Moore Jr. in the face, placed a mask over his face, which inhibited his ability to breathe and left him in a position which caused his asphyxiation. When asked for comments, the Corrections Officers Union has not responded. The Supreme Court says cities can ticket homeless people for sleeping outside. The High Court handed down the ruling, siding with the town of Grants Pass, Oregon, and its anti-camping ordinances. The case has been closely watched by municipalities across the nation overwhelmed with a growing homeless population. The majority opinion says the ordinance does not qualify as cruel and unusual punishment under the Constitution's 8th Amendment. The Supreme Court justices also made it harder for prosecutors to charge accused January 6th rioters with obstruction, and that could include former President Donald Trump. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more from Washington.
The Supreme Court has handed a major win to hundreds of defendants charged with obstruction for their alleged roles in the Capitol riots. The justices ruled on a case brought by a former Pennsylvania law enforcement officer who prosecutors say stormed the police line protecting the Capitol on January 6th. One of the charges against Joseph Fisher is obstructing an official proceeding, Congress's counting of electoral ballots. Friday, the Supreme Court sent the case back to the lower courts, effectively declaring the use of the statute as prosecutorial overreach.
Hundreds of people were the subject of improper charges by the Justice Department. That includes President Trump, who has not been tried yet.
In the 6-3 decision, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote for the majority that the government's sweeping use of the statute defies the most plausible understanding of the 2002 law, saying its use requires that physical documents be destroyed. In the dissent, Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote that the court was doing textual backflips to narrow the reach of the law. Special counsel Jack Smith must now decide how to proceed in his election interference case against former President Trump.
The importance with respect to President Trump is
Number one, does Jack Smith have to supersede his indictment? Because the most important 2 counts of that indictment are this obstruction statute.
Attorney General Merrick Garland says Friday's ruling will not affect the vast majority of the 1,400 defendants charged in the Capitol riots. Outside the Supreme Court, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, we'll learn about a new Johnny Cash album bringing to life some of the music icon's unreleased songs.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a hot Friday for us today. Temperatures, most of us, mid-90s, but our heat indices, they were sitting like around 105 throughout the afternoon. You can see us heating up over the past couple days, upper 80s yesterday, and then low to mid-90s across the region for us today. I'll tell you what, it gets worse, even hotter as we go into the weekend. Also, look at our dew points. We're sitting into the mid-70s, so that's kind of on the top of the scale. So if you look here, that puts us in that muggy to soupy range. That's what we're going to have tonight. That's what we're going to have as we go into the daytime hours on Saturday. But those humidity values will start to lower a little bit as we go into Sunday. Breezy southerly winds will stick around for us tonight. Then the winds will calm down a bit for us tomorrow. Heat advisory in effect till 8 p.m. Saturday evening. Excessive heat warning in this pinkish color in northeastern parts of Oklahoma as the heat indices, they're going to be even a little bit higher. We look pretty good. We are watching a few thunderstorms north of the region, so some of those guys may try to get in a little bit later on tonight. Let me take you through time as we go through the next several hours into the overnight hours. We're going to stop this at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, some severe across central Missouri. I think these are just going to be regular old thunderstorms. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly along and north of I-44, very hit and miss. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. Sticking around into the morning hours, so if you do hear a little bit of thunder or see a little bit of lightning late tonight, should not be a big deal. We clear out during the morning. We heat up rapidly. Most of us 96, 97 by the time we get into the afternoon. Notice a few spotty showers starting to pop up as we go into the evening hours and then blossom right along that I-44 corridor and that Kansas-Oklahoma state line by tomorrow evening. Some of these storms could be strong to low-grade severe, meaning quarter-size hail, maybe winds 60 to 65. So we'll watch this. Some heavy amounts of rain, which we need, scattered thunderstorms through the night, and then most of these are going to be out of here by the time we hit Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, still a few spotty showers, but temperatures are going to be much better, highs into the mid-80s. All right, 97 tomorrow. There's high heat indices, overnight storms, cooler, with still a random storm on Sunday. What about rainfall amounts? Depending on where those storms set up, I think a lot of us will pick up a quarter, maybe half an inch, upwards to an inch with those scattered thunderstorms that we see tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. But we got to watch this. Of course, if you are going to be outside, especially on Saturday, drink plenty of fluids and try to stay inside during the hottest part of the day. But look at this. Heat indices 110 to about 115 once you get out across southeastern Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. So extreme heat, even hotter than what we saw today, but at least the temperatures look better by the time we head into Sunday. All right, an alert day on your Saturday due to those heat indices around 110. 97 actual high. 86 on Sunday, back to 94 on Monday. Near 100 Tuesday and Wednesday leading into the 4th of July. And on the 4th, we are going to have some chances for some scattered thunderstorms.
Hopefully it doesn't interfere with fireworks. Well, coming up in sports, current and former Pitt State Gorillas compete at the Olympic track and field trials. Plus, Carthage High School hosted the Dan Armstrong Legacy Basketball Clinic. Brock Baldridge has those stories and more coming up.
High school opens up the weekend with their Junior Tigers Clinic. Both high school boys and girls basketball teams came together to pass on their knowledge and skills to youth players. Earlier this afternoon, boys and girls ages kindergarten to 3rd grade participated in the camp. This is the 3rd year that the clinic has partnered with the Dan Armstrong Legacy Foundation. The camp was free to all youth players who attended. They even got to go home with a t-shirt, a basketball, and even a free popsicle.
My sisters and I said it last night. There's nothing better than the squeak of a sneaker on a gym floor. It's relaxing. it's my childhood, was being in this gym and watching my dad coach and watching my dad pour into the youth of Carthage. And so for us to be able to give a little something back in his name and hopefully continue his legacy in this aspect is everything.
Well, the Joplin Outlaws have scored 8 or more runs in their last 8 games, and despite last night's loss, Joplin remains firmly in second place in the Mid-American League standings. Joplin continues their homestand against the Fort Smith Marshals. Joplin looks to bounce back tonight, but the pitching struggles and the offense, well, it goes cold. Fort Smith was all over Joplin tonight. Marshals have a big lead in the 9th inning. They lead it 12-3. Meanwhile, the Nevada Griffins look to snap a 4-game losing streak at home tonight. Nevada lost the series opener 5-1 last night. Jeff City really taking to the Griffins tonight. This game also is in the 9th inning as Nevada trails 12-3. The U.S. Track and Field Olympic Trials wrap up this weekend in Eugene, Oregon. Tonight is the final round of the men's 110-meter hurdles and the qualifying rounds for the men's triple jump and the women's pole vault. So here's the rundown of current and former Pitt State Gorillas competing in the Olympic trials tonight. Kyla Davis, well, she had a rough night. The junior couldn't quite get comfortable, so she finishes in 19th place and does not qualify for the semifinals. Then Trey Betts competes in the first round of the men's triple jump. Had a good showing early on, but unfortunately finishes in 17th place, and that will not qualify him for the final rounds either. Then Cordell Tinch is competing in the final round of the men's 110-meter hurdles. That race starts very shortly here in a few moments at 9:52 p.m. Central. Well, that's your look for sports. We're back with more news after this.
The album's songwriter showcases never-released cash tunes. Ricky Gervais plans his next tour, and happy 98th birthday, Mel Brooks. David Daniel has more.
Hello out there, this is planet Earth, calling.
Songwriter is a collection of demos Johnny Cash recorded more than 30 years ago but never released. The video for Hello Out There was filmed at the Tennessee cabin where Cash would write and record, and features his youngest granddaughter, Grace, exploring her grandparents' personal belongings. Songwriter is out today. Ricky Gervais has announced a new comedy world tour. Mortality is set to launch later this year and run through the end of 2025. It'll be filmed for a Netflix special like his last stand-up show, Armageddon, which won a Golden Globe. Happy birthday, Mel Brooks. The National Medal of the Arts recipient and Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winner turns 98 today. And he's still going strong, working on a sequel to his sci-fi comedy, Spaceballs. Rewatching Blazing Saddles yet again in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
The King of Pop had a king-sized debt. According to a court filing by Michael Jackson's estate, the singer owed more than $500 million toward the end of his life. Following his 2009 death, more than 60 creditors made claims against Jackson, with the filing detailing the debt was building interest at very high interest rates. The executors said in the filing that the Jackson estate's debt has been eliminated and that most of the claims and litigation against Jackson are resolved. Jackson was preparing for an upcoming concert residency in London at the time of his death. He was 50 years old. Coming up, a police officer does something not typically found in her job description. Nature's biggest light show, the Aurora Borealis, may be visible this weekend in certain parts of the U.S. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration released a view line showing the areas with a chance of seeing the northern lights. It covers Washington State, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and parts of New York, Vermont, and Maine. This appearance of the Aurora Borealis is thanks to an eruption of solar material on Tuesday. The geomagnetic storm could also affect power grids, satellites, and radio frequencies. The chances of visibility are better in Canada and Alaska. Who knows? We may even get a chance to see him. You never know. A pregnant woman in Minnesota couldn't make it to the hospital before her child was ready to enter the world. Thankfully, officers got there at just the right time to help. Caroline Cummings shows us why that family calls it a surreal, full circle moment.
It's not the 911 call St. Louis Park Police Officer Maddie Turnquist expected that night shift.
We are not taught how to deliver babies, no.
Helping deliver a baby wasn't part of the job description when she took an oath to protect and serve her community. But she answered the call, and to doctors too.
We had a doctor on the phone who was actually walking us through it and helping, so I was focused on that and on the mom, and then making sure the baby cried when it came out and everything to make sure it was breathing.
It sounds like mom and baby and dad are doing okay.
They are. Mom and dad and baby are doing just fine.
Theo made his big debut in the back seat of his parents' car. His proud grandpa, John Tragi, says it was clear someone was watching over him and his parents, Caitlin and Mike.
His hand was on that in that delivery. And I guess I just felt compelled to share that part of the story with the chief.
Tragi himself was an officer in the St. Cloud Police Department, but that's not where the law enforcement ties end. He came into his daughter Caitlin's life 28 years ago after his wife and Caitlin's mother, Wendy, lost her husband, St. Joseph police officer Brian Kleinfelter. He was shot and killed while trying to stop a liquor store robbery. Caitlin was just months old. It's another reason why they're so grateful for the officers who helped bring Theo into the world.
The Kleinfelter family, our family, Caitlin, we've all been blessed so many different ways. Maybe it's just giving people a little bit of hope.
Our baby is okay. Copy, baby has been born 2020.
When you call, we're going to show up.
Well, welcome to the world, baby Theo. Well, that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of beluga whales in Spain. From all of us here at KYM, have a great night.